Art students, Brian Proctor, the art teacher, back again with another tutorial, another video, another drawing lesson, another enjoying process of releasing and creating. So I need to get back to doing my true intros, but I've just been lazy. So let's just jump into this. All right, so this is going to be the position that we work with. So when you first see this position or any drawing that you want to draw or redraw, the first thing you should look at are ovals, cylinders, cones, where those three shapes go. So oval, cylinder, cone, that's a triangle. Turn it into a circle, you have a cone. What a raggedy cone, Brian. Cone, okay? So this representing the arms and the legs, this represents the torso. I'm going to show you, I'm going to flatten this out a little bit in a different way. And this represents the waist. And of course, you know the upside down house. Draw the upside down house right. That's more for a female. Less side for the female. More side for the male. Okay, so these are the shapes that you should look at when you first see a position and say, oh, okay, I see that oval is facing downward. I see this cone is facing forward. It's going backwards. It's tilting, you know, this way or that way. So once you start seeing those shapes, then it makes everything a lot easier to draw. So now one thing about this, or should I say another thing that you want to look at, is that character leaning forward. I wish I had a picture with multiple positions. I'll find it later. But when I look at a picture, of course, I'm going to look at the overall picture, and then I'm going to break it down. I'm going to say, okay, he's leaning forward. I'm going to see that center line. I'm going to say, okay, this arm, this part of the arm is going back. Cone, cone, cone. Okay, so this part of the arm, this is straight forward right here. This is going back. So you're going to see this opening here. This is going back a little bit. This one is coming forward because you see the wrist right here, curve. So just by being able to see that curve and knowing that's going to be the opening, that way you can tell the arm is going back or forward. Of course, you know this leg is going forward. So if it was a cone, it would be, it's hard to do this on the camera. I can see it, but you can see it. It'd be like that. And then the other one would go down. Where is my other thing? I have all these things for you guys. It would be coming forward, and the other one would be going down and probably slightly back. So, but just using shapes, seeing shapes, it makes things a lot easier. All right, so with this torso, I know I've shown you guys the cone, but when they lean forward, I like to use this because it kind of has that good shape to it. So I would just put an opening, opening right here, and keep that. And again, it depends on how much that person is leaning forward or how much that drawing that you're going to do is leaning forward. So here's my cone. Here's my oval right there. And that's going to represent up and down. But as soon as he leans, you're going to see that collarbone go across like that, making that V. So sometimes it's easier to do this. I'm not going to say sometimes it's easier, but this is another step if it's easier for you to do. And then if this is straight, if this was long enough, you'd understand. And it would go back, it would get narrow on the sides. So if this was, what am I saying? Okay, so if I drew this like this, and it was real long, it would be like that. Let's draw a little darker. And I have my light on right here, my drawing light, just to make it a little lighter, because some of these videos, to me, they're a little darker. So if I took this and I leaned it over, it would be, let's draw another one, and I lean it over, of course, you would start to see the top of it. And because this is so long, as it went back, it would go back in perspective like that. And that would be the same thing as the torso. When you learn this stuff, you're doing the torso. So let's say I cut that torso off right there, erase that. Here's my center line. I can put my collarbone where I want to. But remember, the neck comes right from that collarbone. It comes at V. If it's straight up, here's my torso, center line. If that body, I almost lost it for a second, is straight up. I'm going to put my collarbone straight, and my V is going to be like right here, going to the edge of that circle. So this one, it wouldn't, because you have all that back muscle. So you bring it from this point and then just kind of leave that little opening for where your head is going to go. Because when you're leaning forward, your head is going to lean forward too. So your chin may come past that collarbone. It depends on how much you are leaning forward, how much that character is leaning forward. And then, of course, you have all of this extra for your shoulders. So that's another way to do it, is just by using that shape. And it's just simple. It's just an oval, oblong, oval. I don't know if oblong would fit there. And then that, let me stop for 1 second and take a drink, because I'm not going to say I just got up, but I just got up. I always keep water by my bed. All right, so now let's get to the drawing. So these are the three the shapes that you should see whenever you start drawing. And my next few videos are going to be females. I kept saying that, but I'm determined they're going to be females, because I was on Facebook last night and I saw some guys' drawings, and they were drawing females, and they were just males with breasts. So it was like, okay, I want to show these guys a little bit more about doing females. All right, so here we go. Looking at that, let's slide this to the side. YouTube might not be happy about me doing females, but in the end, I'll put like a bikini or something on them so that you can, so that it won't be like drawing naked women. All right, so okay. Here we go. Center line, oval, center line, which is kind of down the middle, and then is it V. And as I say, if you wanted to do this, you can. Then I'm going to do the tunnel mountain. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm not sure which one I want to call it, so I'm going to call it both. Tunnel mountain, and then the chest is directly above that. Now, at this point, now we're just doing the shapes. We're not trying to do detail or whatever. We'll do detail later. This pencil lead is getting to me. So at that point, we're going to do this right here. This is the tuna can from here, and it depends on how much he's leaning, of course. So that can wouldn't be straight down like this. It's going to go into that because you're leaning forward. I had the, let's use this. So let's just say if this was the, get it right on camera. If this was the tuna can, this was the torso. If I'm going straight, it's going to be like that. If you're looking straight directly forward at the person, but if he leans over, you notice how the back of this goes behind the ball, okay? And that's going to be the same thing if this was round. If it's straight up like that, it's going to be straight, but it's going to go behind the ball. All of this is behind, and you won't see it. So if I'm doing the torso, and the torso is leaning over, because this whole thing is round, just that's one thing that a lot of people would start doing, is making stuff flat, because we're used to just drawing that straightforward position. But when you lean over, everything becomes round. So here we have this, and then we're going to have that tuna can, which is going to go down. And remember, it's going to go behind. Some of that's going to go behind that. So it's going to be round like this underneath that. And then some of it's going to go behind it, which you won't see. But just as long as you start keeping it round, as long as you keep it round, you're all right. So what that means is the more you tip something over, the more rounder it's going to become until you get right on top of it and it's completely round. All right, so just remember that. The body is not completely round, but it does have more, and I'm trying to get my little guy here. It does have more of this shape to it. So here's the little guy. There's a big guy's way over there, and I don't feel like getting up. And the more you tip it over, the more roundness it's going to have. If you're looking at that, it'll throw you off, but just look at the hip, the waist. The more it goes over, the more rounder that thing becomes until you're looking straight down on it and it has a shape similar to this, okay? So just remember that. The more you tilt somebody over, the more rounder it's going to be. All right, so tuna can is usually not tipped over. tuna can. The upside down house is usually not tipped over because then you won't be able to stand. No matter how much I lean this guy over, let's do it this way. He's got to have that standing balance. So this thing is not going to really tip over too much. It's going to kind of stay stable, or he's going to fall over. So it's not really going to be straight up and down. But for drawing purposes, you can make it, because this shows that it is leaning forward already. So with this, you can just kind of go the regular direction. Just don't make it too long, because if it's going backwards, same thing what I was saying with this. If it's going backwards, it's going to be shortened and get narrower. This is one of my hard words, like synthesizer. So if I did this and turned this into the upside down house, by seeing this curve, you know it's leaning over, which means the rest of it is going back just a little bit. Now, unless you're flying, unless the guy's flying, the flying position, then you would see that you don't see much of this. You'd have this and then even less of that. The more he comes to you, the less of it you're going to see. So from here, we have that. And let's stop here. Let's kind of like fix this up, because we'll have my neck. Remember that neck right there in that center line is going to go here. And I'm not going to take the hole all the way back, because the head's going to cover it up. But just as long as you know that hole is back there. We have this collarbone here, collarbone there. We got the chest coming around, the other part of the chest coming around. I'm not going to worry about the lats. So we have the tunnel mountain, and your abs are going to come around because it's round. It's round. Remember, this whole thing is round. Ab, maybe another ab down here. So by just keeping it round, can you see that? Let's do this. Let's cut this light off. Let's try that. Half light on, half light off, and then I'll know next time to keep the, which one I'm going to use. It's raining outside, so it's dark. So even if I have my curtains open, I'm not getting any light from the side over there. So just keep that round, keep that round. So, okay, now let's do this. This is a cylinder. Remember, this is a cylinder going that way. So from here, from that hip, coming down, I'm going to draw the cylinder. And I say to myself, how far do I want my knee? Do I want my knee right here? Do I want my knee right here? Do I want that knee up here? And that knee is just to represent that circle. This is the back of your thigh, and this is where your knee is going to be. So if the person is standing straight, you have this. If he's taking that step, it depends on how much of that step he's going to take, or how much that leg's going to come out, determines how much of this inner circle you're going to see. And then you place it wherever you want to place it. So I've got this guy right about here. So this is where my knee is going to be. So what I'm going to do is just draw that cylinder like that. And then we're going to draw that cone. We're not going to worry about the knee. We're just going to do that cone. And that cone kind of comes, it goes down and back a little bit. So you're not going to see, let's switch colors. So you're not going to see too much of the opening from that, as this cone goes down like that. So this other one is going to go down as well. So you're not going to see that cone, the opening from that cone. You'd see it from the top, but it's buried behind that house right there. And this cone cylinder, but this cone goes back behind that leg. So you would see a little more opening on this one than you do on that one. Should have drew this a little bigger. But arms and legs are pretty easy to do once you see these shapes and you get these shapes right, and you look at it as a cone or a cylinder. And then it just makes it a lot quicker. And don't worry about the muscle for now. Just, you just deal with that. All right, so we have this. We're going back on the torso, the shoulders, collarbones. So at the end of the collarbone, you're going to have your delts, which is just a circle. Okay, don't make a tiny circle, make a big circle, because the delt almost comes down to the bottom of the chest for the length of the chest. So we have one and have the other. And as I say, that's a given. They're always going to be right at this. And then that center line, I just put a center line right there. So if I draw this circle, I drew this circle. However, I tilted this circle, you know, where you can't tell until you put a line there. So wherever that collarbone goes, it's going to go right down in that circle. And that just helps with the direction of the delt. So if the collarbone is here, that line is here, then you have all of this, and you know your shoulder is going to be back up here, and then your neck is going to come up here. So wherever that collarbone goes or ends up at, then just kind of continue into that circle or delt, and then that will actually give you more, recognition of how much that person is leaning over or tilting by that. But if you keep that at the top, then he's not leaning over, because that's only when the person or is at the very top, when he's straight forward. Do you see that collarbone? That line comes right at the top of that collarbone. When he tilts over like that, continue this, and then that's going to be in the center of that ball circle. And then you know that guy's leaning forward. And then you can put as much shoulder back there as you want. All right, so this arm right here is coming forward. So I'm going to put this here and open that circle. And if you get in a habit of actually drawing the cones, it makes stuff a little better. This one is coming forward too, because you see this wrist. You would see that opening. Bring it over. Bring that opening in that wrist. So just for the sake of it, I'm just going to put the circle here, just so I can add this, clip this other circle on. And what I'm saying is, here's a circle. Let me see if I can not make it roll. Just for the time being, it's going to roll. It's going to roll. Anyway, so I can put this one here, and I can clip this other one on right here. That's basically what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Usually I don't do the elbow. I just kind of know where it's at, but just for the sake of doing it. How did I get from pencil to red? I don't know. It's habit. And then my old red tiny pencil too. So, and then we're going to do that again, because this is like this. This one's going to be the same, has the same amount of curve, I used to say roundness, as that. And then this one is kind of going down, so you're going to see about that much on that, and it's going down. Same amount of curve as this, the same amount of curve of that, and this one is coming slightly forward. You can tell by you're seeing the wrist. And your drawing is pretty much halfway complete. It's a little small. I don't know why I drew small. So let me just throw that head up there to cover up that hole. And then you already have your shoulders, your trapezius muscles. And then for the foot is always a triangle. Usually the feet are just triangles. I'm trying not to draw on this one. If you draw a triangle, you split it in half, move it over, separate it, and then you'd have this. 2 feet. Put the legs right there. You have a foot. Makes it easier. Put a little curve right there. You have the toe. Curve this up a little bit. You have your instep and then your heel. Like that. And so it's just simple shapes that make all the difference. Let me try this. So if I have this triangle, here's my leg, here's my ankle. Your inner ankle is higher than your outer ankle. So it's going to be like that. And a lot of times I'll do this. I'll just put this little curve here, and that kind of indicates where, you know, where this part is, where it bends, this part in here is. So bringing it down, bringing it out for the triangle, and I can square it off or curve it a little bit, depending on the amount of the floor, the angle of the floor that the person is standing on. All right, so standing on this ruler, okay? So standing on this ruler, if you stand on the ruler and get that perfect line, get that perfect line, get that perfect line, get that perfect line. So you're standing on the ruler, It's going to be flat. As I say, it's hard when you got a camera above you. Push the ruler on his feet. It's going to be flat. Now, this is your ground and your camera angle. If you start raising the camera up, you're going to get more little curve to that foot. And it's going to be a little longer. The more the camera rotates above the ground, the more of the foot you're going to see and the more of the curve you're going to get. So a lot of times we will draw just out of habit at just a bit of an angle, kind of like this, you know, instead of just flat, because when we draw, usually our eye level is somewhere around here when we draw, somewhere up here when we draw, because this habit of seeing other artists. In the beginning, we see other artists drawing, and they usually draw from up here, unless they're doing some kind of a hardcore angle, and then you know your eye line is different or above, you know. But you can only do so much above because you have ground. Unless they're flying, you're going to see the ground, and you can only do so much of a shot unless it's up on a building. You know, like Batman's always on that corner of that building. So you can only get so much of an up angle without having to not draw the ground. I just lost that one, but let's keep going. So yeah, that's a foot. So as I said, you can draw it flat, but you have that instep, that arch, not the instep, you have that arch. So if you go and you kind of like go up, even if you have that, you can put that line under the arch like that, and you have that heel right there. So if I did that again, big, here's my foot. Shouldn't have done it with a pen. Okay, that's my half a triangle. If I kept going, it would be a triangle. So I'm going to curve this, and I'm going to bring this up like that, and then I can bring that heel in like that, and then bring this toe in and out. And then that's a bad example because that's like too much lines with the pen. But you get the point. You get the point. You do that little arch here, and then the heel right there. A lot of times we put boots on, but still, if you have shoes or boots or something, you're still going to have that heel, and then that part right here. So yeah, and this foot could have came back and then up a little bit more. All right, back to this. We almost finished this thing. So we have the triangle, we have that foot. And again, as I was saying before I got so thrown off, the ground is going to be like this. It's not going to be flat. It's going to be like that. So if he was in a room, the wall would probably be back here somewhere. I mean, I could put it way back here, but then, yeah, I would have had to drew him a different position. So, and I drew on my picture. Look at that. So we're going to have this triangle. I can square this off. Depending on how high up I'm looking down, square that off, and then just kind of round it a little bit more. And then this heel comes up, and this one is bent. I know it's further out than this one, but just for the sake of doing it. And one thing is, you cannot have, this is the line, this is the line that back foot cannot come in front of. If I put that in front of that, it would look like he was standing on his foot. It would look like he's standing on his own toe. So whenever you draw and you have a back foot somewhere in that drawing, wherever that heel is, it has to be behind that heel. So that toe has to be right here. And that's the hard part about adjusting a leg or foot or something that's behind it. As long as it's behind that line or on that line or behind that line, then you're good. Because, like I say, he's coming in this way, and I can have like the wall way back here somewhere. He's in a room or the ground or whatever, and it's trees or mountains or whatever. You know, he's kind of, it's like not a stalking, but he's like coming up on you. Kind of could be like he's sneaking up, you know, on you. And he could have any weapons, knives, whatever, axes, clubs, or whatever. So just remember that wherever that heel is, whatever other foot, if he's walking or running, it has to be behind that line. All right, so we have this. I'm going to, what I said, I'm going to work with this, the chest. This is blue. This is blue. So this, where your waist is going to come up. If you make that kind of an arch like this, this is where your, and I keep forgetting that, your, these muscles, serratus muscles are going to be, if you make like an arch like that, this is going to be your waist. Make that arch. This is your upside down house, and your serratus muscles are going to be right there going to this point on the neck. This is how I do it. Now, an expert would be like, no, but I mean, this is comics and it works for the meantime. So you're going to go straight up to basically right here. So what you have here are your serratus muscles, serratus muscles right here. After that, right behind that, you have your lats. And that's how you can make your guy, you know, a little stronger. And it's going to come, I think it's like 5 of them that actually show. And then from there, you have your ribs connecting to that. So if you're doing a waist, just come straight up here. This is why you have your tuna can. You do the tuna can. Going back here, you have your torso on top of the tuna can. This goes straight up from the side and side, and then goes right up under the neck. And then anything past that is your lats, or are your lats. Okay, so hand, we're going to start out with a square for your hand. And hands are just fickle because it really depends on, it truly depends on the angle of your hand. So one thing you don't want is, flip this over. Here's my arm. You don't want this like a hammer, because the side of your palm is somewhat flat with this arm, and this part comes out. If you look at this, this is comes straight out. This goes out. So you don't want that little hammer thing. So you have this. Like if you have your hands like this, I want you to notice something before I start drawing. Initially, your hands are square. Initially, before your fingers. If I took all this off and I took my thumb off, it'd just be this kind of square-ish. All right. I split the hands in half like that. Then I have my palm right here where this your little lifeline goes. I put my palm right there in the center, curve it around, depending on which hand it is. Your thumb is going to come off of this part. So this is going to be your wrist right here like that. Your thumb, this circle, your thumb is going to come off this, and it's like 2 joints. Make it a little longer. Get me some more lead. And when you bring your thumb in, like you're holding something, your thumb is not just going to just come up and across like that. Your thumb actually comes, I'm using so many colors, hopefully you can see these. Your thumb is going to come actually up like that and then across. So if I drew this like cylinders, it's not going to come up like that. It's going to up like this. It's going to actually move over and then grab. Okay. Now your fingers, when you're holding something, let me get something small, which I found in my room. Your fingers, it's going to ride. Whatever you grab is going to sit on that palm. That palm is like a little shelf. It's like a little shelf. Maybe that's why it sticks out more. It comes and it kind of like sticks out, because when you grab something, it's going to push. Hard to do it with the camera above. It's going to push above this thing. You see how that jumped out? So that whatever you're holding is not going to roll out of your hand. So this is going to be sit. It's going to go, of course, you know, your thumb is going to go around. This is what I'm saying. The thumb is not going to just come up and go across, because you won't be able to fit something. So that thumb has to come out and then over and then grab it. And you're going to have your wrinkles here, you know, that goes into your palm. So these other fingers are going to come down. So it's going to come down to the halfway point. That halfway point, which is like right here, to grab this thing. And the thumb is going to come across, like I said, and then down to grab that. So you're going to see this and this part of the wrist. And you notice how this finger goes in, this finger comes in. These two are kind of straight, and it all depends on the angle of whatever you're doing. If you have a camera, and yeah, I know you do, you have a phone camera, take something, a paper towel roll or something, and then just grab it. Take a picture of your hand in as many angles as you can and save that in a folder, and just practice drawing these things. You know, I'll show you the tips that was hard for me to kind of understand, but live stuff is the best way to do. So you have that, and of course your fingers are going to be up more. If you're holding something, your fingers are not going to touch this, depending on how fat that thing is. So yeah, so like I said, it depends on, you know, what you're holding and the angle. And I was looking at some AI stuff. I've been looking at, you know, some AI drawings, and a lot of the AI cannot get the hands right. If you look at AI drawings, a lot of times they'll have the person, they'll cut it like right here, or the hands will be behind them or in something. But if you see them with the hands holding, they have like 6 fingers or 7 fingers, and the thumb is extra long. Go look at that. Go check that out. I've seen that. AI is great with faces and buildings and so forth, but the hands, they just have not been able to get right. I'm not saying all of them, but I've seen a lot of them that the hands were just not right. So, okay, with this, now we're going to put this thing here, depending on how big the thing is that it is holding. It's going to be on that palm. Like I said, that palm is going to be holding this thing. And then the fingers, usually I'll just do this. This one's going to be in a little bit. I'm going to have this one, just ovals, this one, and then this one's going to come in. And it depends again on how big that thing is. And so you want to say, where are my knuckles? Where are my knuckles? Okay, because you're going to see these. Depends on the angle. If I turn the wrist a little bit, you're going to see where your knuckles are, and you're going to have this part of the finger with your knuckles. I don't know what these are called. I guess bends or knuckles. So if I start out like that, let me ink this. If I start out like this, and it's holding that object like that. So this actually, when you bend this part is flat, but when you bend it, it comes out. It gives that little point. So if I'm holding something, it's going to push that part out even more. So if you like this, just in your head, it's going to push it out a little more. So you would get a bit of that little triangle. But that's if you're drawing big hands, or if you're trying to be really, really, really realistic about, you know, what you're drawing. So as I say, if I'm doing this and then I need that to look like it's bent forward a little bit, I will just do this. Here is those knuckles right here. Just bend that, so then that's going down. And then you see the other parts of the fingers. And it's a simple fix. So from just drawing this to adding that piece of knuckle there, now I have my fingers bent down. And kind of square it off. Kind of square them off, not like sausages or anything. And then of course here's my thumb. Two pieces, curve that thumb up a little bit. Is it gonna go back down? There's the thing that I'm holding right here. And I scribble a lot. This is why I really don't use a pen to draw. Some people can draw with a pen, you know, God bless you, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then you have your palm, 2 pieces of your palm, and whatever it is you're holding there. It's simple once you learn how to draw it. It's just how much practice and how much detail you want to put into it. So let's get in, because it's 35 into it. It's probably going to be a 45-minute thing. So chest and delt are connected, and skin. Just think of a shoulder pad, football shoulder pad. So we're going to have this, and then we're going to have this, we're going to have this, come down. that, and you just have like this indentations right there. Chest, you can bring the chest down a little bit more, because a lot of times when I used to draw, my chest was like really too short. So when I come back, I tend to make them longer. As I say, it goes in like this. Here's my delt right there. Your delt is going to have this teardrop shape, which separates the bicep from tricep. Now I'm going fast now. Your tricep, bicep here. Bicep is usually that point, and then you have that muscle that actually goes to the thumb, because you have those two bones. So if you take from this point, because there's just a little bit of shadow, I don't know if you can see it in my arm, there's going to be this little bit of shadow in here where you're, look at that, I got muscles. You're going to see that shadow from this curve. See if I can flex a little harder. And you have this muscle that goes to your thumb. There's my thumb right there. You can trace it back. It's going to go to, I lost it because I'm holding this pen. It's going to go to that thumb. I lost the whole thing. My muscle's gone. Anyway, yeah. It's going to go right back to that thumb. So wherever your thumb is, if your thumb is here, wait a minute, I got my thumb over here. Okay, so it's going to go back. It's the opposite way. It was looking good for a second. The thumb is over on the outside, so it goes to the thumb. I was looking good for a second. So it's going to go this way to your thumb, which is going to be here. And then you remember, you got your fingers. You can just do these, your palm, and then your object. So again, if you need to see a little bit of that bend, you just bend it right there. This is why I should have drawn a little bigger. So this is going to go, as I said, this V, and it's going to go to the thumb. This one's going to go to the thumb. Let's do this a little quicker because I don't like to get 50-minute videos. Bicep, tricep back here, a little higher up on the delt. Curve in like that. And then it's going to go to the thumb, because you're turning your hand. Well, you already got your hand turned. So yeah, where is that? I can't get it. I need to work out more. And then your thumb is coming in. Oval, 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 oval. And then you just have room for the palm. Put your object in. And this is a small drawing, so I don't have to be so precise or perfect with it. But then, you know, you kind of want to, in the end, you kind of want to make it look a little better. You're going to have this and bring that up a little bit more, because you're going to have this piece right here. And that goes into the palm. Remember, you have that little piece, and then it curves. I'm going to curve it over. It curves. If this was a cylinder, it goes in and it curves around, and you have these wrinkles, which curves around, which goes into the palm as well. So like that, quickly. 2, 3, 4. And then I have my object behind my thumb. This one was good too. But anyway, you do have that. You do have that. It was my fault for, you know, and it does go to the thumb. Wherever your thumb is, you break that thing. Yeah. So we have my raggedy hands. So here's my lats. You have my chest. I usually do like a little V right there. Curves around and up. And remember, at that point, it's going to come down a little bit. It's going to come in. It's going to come in. This is going to be my, right here. This is going to be my tuna can. Right here, it goes in with that. And then here's my waist. Here's my stomach coming around. This is this. So you're going to have, for the leg, it's going to, well, he's going to be naked anyway. So I was just showing you the folds. With that, give it a little bit of knee. And if it's hard, remember, just draw a center line to where the leg is going to. So then you'll know where your knee is, and this comes down here, and you can draw that center line to the foot. This, give a little calf here, and then there's the foot. Again, we have your little arch. You have a little bit of an arch. And then roundness of the foot, because it's not flat. Same thing here. We're going to go down. Where's my center of my leg? It's probably going to be right here. Here's my knee right here. And then it's going to go behind. There's the calf. It's going to go behind. Heel. That little curve. And my foot is going to be right there. The amount of curve you put here determines how much the person is leaning over. That's a given. the amount of this determines how much a person is leaning over. The amount of, well, the head could be popped up, but usually if it's like a mad attack, you don't want to bring the neck too much past the collarbone. Just basically right there is good. And you want to have this go like where the ear is. If the ear is here, you want to have that shoulder go right up into that ear. It's just, it gives him that, you know, it gives him that I'm leaning down, coming at you kind of look. And I think this is going to be it. This is a little raggedy. Remember I said this is going to be the center. So this is kind of like this V here. This is going to be the center, and this is going to go, because your collar, your delts go, actually your delts, they go way back here, and I could have made this a little bigger. So this would be the center. And there are three, well, I have this here because there are actually 3 parts to the delt right there. But it's just for comics or for something like that. Just have this little center line. That way you can't go wrong. And then we have this. This is your, you might not see the actual, I don't want to say bones. You might not actually see the actual pieces jump out depending on the angle of the person, the angle of the drawing. And you have your lats. And there are some muscular people that have this extra, I don't want to say bone, but I'm just going to say bone right here. If you want to draw really muscular. And then there's a piece like right here. And then you can just add, it just adds to how many, the abs. So since this is kind of turned to the side, you're going to see more of this. So I would bring this over more, and you'd have less of this and more of this. That way you won't keep it centered. Everything doesn't have to be centered. So I'd keep this over, so I'd have more of the love handle showing than on that side. So let's get this. And then I'll draw my triangles at the end where the stomach comes in. I know it's getting really messed up now. And then I'll draw my diamonds in the center where the 4 connect. And then there you have a way to do stomach. So if you didn't see that, I'll do this, this is coming in, curve, 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 center line. Now where this goes in, where this comes in, there is, how can you say it? The skin goes in and it comes back out. So there's going to be like a dark line, a shadow line right there. So if this is my abs, what I do here is I'll do this V right on the side. I'll do a triangle. Where they end, where they come off, I'll do a triangle, triangle. And in the centers, I'll do a diamond, diamond. And then this goes down to here. I'll do that diamond here. Again, triangle, triangle, triangle. As I say, this goes down into your crotch, and this is just like one long center piece that goes into your crotch. Your love handle comes here and goes down. And then your hip is right there. And this goes up. And then your rib cage is right there. As I say, if you want to do, this continues to come up, and this could be your you're using a lot of arms. I know. Your serratus muscles, and of course your chest, which is going to be basically about right there. I did that too high. Your chest is going to be like right there. And after your serratus muscles, then you have your lats. So as I said, there, the way the bone is, you can do this, and then there's an extra one there for those really, really, really buff guys. And as I say, this, because this comes around, it goes into like a little ditch, and it comes out. So the shape would be kind of like this. Well, actually, it's going to go that dip here, come out, dip here, and come out. So it's going to come from that little ditch, come out and around, dip here in the center of your muscle, the center of your abs, come around, dip here, and then come back around. So you're going to have a little shadow here, and where that the top of that love handle comes in. If you're really strong, you get a little shadow, a little ditch there too. So, but that's when you like right here, that's when you really doing, deep cut muscles for that. So, all right, that is going to be it for this video, because I don't like to go an hour with my videos. I want to get really shorter, but I always show you extra, because that's what teaching is about, showing you as much as I can, because who knows how long I'll be doing videos. So that's going to be it. I will see you guys in the next lesson. Comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and keep enjoying, keep drawing. All right, I'm out. See you guys in the next video.